involve him. So why does he need to speak on it just because fans want to hear the juicy, salacious details?
My brain.
So is there, wait, so let me ask him.
I'm going to break today's episode up into 2 parts. I'm going to read some of the super thanks that didn't get read. I'm going to do that in the second half, so you can jump to that or just wait for it. The first part is basically an apology for what everyone went through if you tuned in on Sunday.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, so again, I've got some shout outs, some thanks to supporters coming up right after I address what happened on Sunday. Here we go. I guess I'll open up today with an apology to viewers. I saw your comments, or I saw some of your comments while I was having coffee this morning based on yesterday's live stream, in which FYF was allowed to basically take over and use it as a platform to make excuses for LeBron James. And it was so disgusting, and I couldn't get a word in, and I dropped out. I couldn't listen anymore. Like, I wanted to wait for my chance to refute him, and it just wouldn't come. Like, I couldn't get a sentence in. And I interrupt. I try to get my lines in. But none of the other guys on the panel were getting a line in either. So by the time I speak up, I'm interrupting my own guys. But you know what? No, it was bad. And these are the things that make me consider hanging it all up, because what am I doing? Like, I feel stupid. I feel stupid with this episode. Like, what? I'm having to come on and explain the moronic words of somebody that were spread on a show that we're supposed to be spreading the truth on. But there's never-ending examples. It's like you barely even get to basketball itself. The mockery that basketball has become, well, just the mockery of the behavior of these guys off the basketball court is a full-time topic. And that's what the NBA wants. This is their idea of turning into a big industry. They've coaxed the world into buying into drama, into WWE characters. By the time we even got to the Diddy thing, my breakfast was about to come up. I was ill. And, a few minutes into him defending his association with Diddy, I was ready to hang it up. But FYF is trying to categorize bad behavior. Hey, let's not talk about what Diddy did to this person or that person, because in that particular case, it doesn't fall under this category. And I couldn't even get out one line that I wanted to say. I said, forget if it's social justice. Is it right or is it wrong? Is it right or is it wrong? I don't even know if human beings think about that anymore in an excuse society. All you have to do is come up with a pretty speech, or relabel something that is clearly bad, but put like a new marketing term on it. Or in this case, don't worry about domestic violence because it's not a social issue. Did you hear what I just said? This is what people were actually arguing over. Before I dropped out of disgust, and the fact that instead of reading the super thanks that were coming on, or all the people commenting that were saying this is terrible, FYF is stupid, he was allowed to continue spewing his stupidity. And FYF digressed into what LeBron people always do, and that's the pity story. People work so hard to take LeBron down. You sound like Rich Paul's fist is up your puppet ass working your mouth, FYF. You fool. You sound like a puppet with Rich Paul's fist up your ass talking about nobody's been as scrutinized as LeBron James. Nobody has acted more a fool than LeBron James. And the media loves a juicy story, so stop acting like he was singled out. I think I did at least manage to get that part in. Any celebrity that they can find associated with Diddy is getting named. LeBron isn't being singled out. LeBron is the guy that danced on screen with a bunch of children in the background talking about ain't no party like a Diddy party. But, you know, we're picking on him. Let's focus on Jay-Z and other people, but leave ain't no party like a Diddy party LeBron alone, because we're just haters singling out somebody. I don't know anyone in the history of sports that has opened their mouth and said more dumb, embarrassing things in their career than LeBron James. The guy deserves scrutiny beyond what he gets, much less this ridiculous argument that he's being picked on. Jesus Christ, he's protected from half of the moronic crap that he does. Like, his career never should have survived half the shit that he does. Picking on LeBron James. Like I said, I feel stupid wasting time on this topic. And I was just going to let it go. I was like, that was unfortunate. But, you know, I'm out jogging, and this morning, Sports and Fitness Rants, he, of course, covers it, even though he wasn't on the show. And, man, Sports and Fitness Rants, you should have been there. And I don't know if you heard me at the beginning point out the fact that FYF was only coming on because you weren't there. But I had been saving something to tell you on the show. Speaking of streams coming into the headphones while I'm jogging, the day before, as I'm going through different things, listening to the quote-unquote news of sports, if we can call it that anymore, I admittedly will choose the thumbnail and the title, which reminds me my thumbnails are terrible. But this one said something about ripping Bronny and LeBron to pieces. So I was like, all right, let's listen. And I notice as I'm jogging without looking, it's a guy with a bitch voice, and he's making excuses for LeBron James. I'm like, oh my God, is this FYF? And sure enough, it was. And before I changed the channel, which I did immediately, I heard him clowning Jordan fans. This is what he does on videos that are supposed to be criticizing Bronny and LeBron. And he's talking about Jordan fans are stupid because they think 10 scoring titles is more impressive than 40,000 points. And he goes as far, before I managed to hit the skip button, I heard him say, and when you bring it up, those clowns never have anything to say. They have nothing to combat the 40,000 point argument. It must be nice. It must be nice to have your channel with your own huge moronic following that you can just blatantly lie.
Everyone in this room is now dumber.
Because FYF gets torched by people in debates. Torched. Sports and Fitness Rants. It's like listening to somebody kick a handicapped person who's still in their chair, just roundhousing a handicapped person in the face. That's what it sounds like when FYF tries to debate somebody like Sports and Fitness Rants. My example that I use over and over again, because I can't think of a better one to try and get people who aren't professional athletes to relate to the stupidity of the longevity argument, is using myself as an example. I have longevity. I'm fortunate in that way. I don't use Balco like LeCheater does, but I'm not a guy dunking in old age, but I can still play. And what that means is that despite the fact that not winning the scoring title at the local gym in a single year not being the best player in the gym in a single year, I now hold the scoring title of an individual player who has ever played there because of how long I've played there. Not because I was ever better than everyone. Ever. Once. Not even once. Much less 10 times. Give me a better example. Tell me that's not a great example. A lot of people, as long as they hang in there for a long time and are kind of good, like I'm not saying I'm terrible. I'm good enough to score points. You know, I could play for 1,000 years and it wouldn't get me a scoring title if I wasn't capable of scoring some points. But that's really where LeBron James is. He's a glorified Daniel Gafford. Just had more lobs thrown to him by better people. Oh, FYF, you clown. You know what? That probably is an example of a guy who could play at the local gym for 100 years and still not get the scoring title. Look, being a guy not capable of winning the scoring title or dominating the league has a direct connection to coming up short when the moment is big. You're not that guy. He wasn't that guy, despite stacking the deck. And if you're one of those people that says LeBron didn't stack the deck, then, you know, you're one of the reasons that it's time to just hang this up, because you can't fix that level of delusion. And despite all the advantages that LeBron provided for himself, to where he could be a third option, greatness is measured by the moments. Greatness is measured by overcoming in those moments. LeBron James fails in those moments more than he overcomes. And that is the difference maker. If you are against good competition, if it's a good game, that's who makes or breaks you. If you have that guy, the Bulls had that guy. LeBron isn't that guy. LeBron, and I'm not even the only person who's broken this down. You can go back and look at the games. There's a pile of evidence, visual evidence, showing that LeBron James having the ball in his hands was the undoing of his teams. It wasn't the teammates. It was the decision of LeBron James having the ball in his hands when it mattered that cost the team. And what are LeBron's most iconic wins? When someone else had the ball in their hands. You know, I said that FYF and LeBron have their type of followers. I have my type of followers. What you won't catch me doing is trying to give you or anyone else a way out. What do we ask for the most as real basketball fans? Consistency. Play by the rules. Give full effort. Show us on the court. Show us on the court that you mean what you say, instead of all of these empty speeches. If you fail, you fail. As long as you failed trying. As long as you failed giving it your all. Not failure when you spend the rest of your career creating narratives that explain your failures and throwing teammates under the bus. Not when you are the poster child for a generation of people that want excuses and escape routes, not accountability. That is the description of the fans of LeBron James and FYF. FYF is like the ambassador. It's like, come to me and you can hear excuses. Come to me and I'll explain to you why nothing is ever your fault. You're not going to hear that shit on my channel. Whatever my flaws are, you can tell me. But you find me lying? You find me saying something that isn't true? That'll surprise me. But if you have the evidence, I'll at least look at it. Inevitably, Jordan will come up. And on one hand, people will say, why do you guys always compare Jordan and LeBron? The problem is that the LeBron people listening to this, instead of just acknowledging the truth of it, will try and find any flaws that Jordan ever had, as if that justifies flaws in their own lives or flaws in LeBron's. I don't think that Michael Jordan's perfect. I can think of things that I wish he'd done differently. You're talking about someone who has some blemishes versus someone whose entire career was a blemish. LeBron fans will attack Jordan because he wasn't perfect. And I've said in past videos, I'm like, maybe it's a problem that Jordan actually came anywhere close to perfection. I don't think he's perfect. No one is. But the fact that, like, he's actually in the range of perfection creates a problem, because LeBroners look at anything short of perfection and think that that's a justification to excuse an entire career of mediocrity, an entire career of blame and excuses and failures. It's not the same. Not being perfect doesn't, it's just not in the same ballpark. But if it makes you guys feel better, if it makes you guys believe in the excuses you make for your own failures, what am I going to do about that? You know, even as I'm recording this, I see in my feed that Uncut Hoops has released a video called "He Ruined the NBA." Part one of my reaction to seeing that is, you shouldn't even be able to make a case that somebody that you're calling the GOAT ruined the NBA. You know, whether you're not a LeBron fan or you are a LeBron fan, for anyone to be able to put forth a legitimate case that the person some people call the GOAT is also the person some people think ruined the NBA, I mean, what planet are we living in? But the difference maker here, and here's part two of my reaction, is Uncut Hoops does great work. Like, the guy backs it up. I can't tell you how many videos he's released that I want to do reactions to. He does this research and he provides video footage. You guys can't say that he's making these cases out of nothing. Even if you don't agree that LeBron ruined the NBA, the problem is that he's got a lot of evidence. He and others have a lot of evidence. My point being, if you agree with him or not, he provides a legitimate argument full of examples. We all do. Legitimate examples, not whiny, abstract, oh, what if, and if only things had been this way or that way. That's what the LeBron people do. Well, what if, and this should have happened, and that should have happened. While the rest of us are actually basing our arguments in reality. By the way, FYF, thank you for calling out Paul George, who, while some think he's great, is also a potential poster child for the entitlement era. And yet this is an example of the challenges that LeBron faced in the East when he was with the Cavs and Miami. What a joke. A bunch of fake potentials that never did anything. That's LeBron's competition.
Okay, let's move on. Once again, my apologies for Sunday. Not my show. Only so much I can do. I'm trapped between being polite and being who I am. Let's move on to Super Thanks. Going back a little ways, Cameron Peterson with $2 Canadian. This was the Shaquille O'Neal episode. What if Daryl Dawkins was able to bash like Shaq? Yeah. I mean, those were some thunderous dunks. What if a lot of people were allowed to bash like Shaq? Oh, right. LeBron is able to. Michael Silberg. Thanks for your ongoing support, Michael. $2. Stephen A. Smith's job is to lie and sound empathetic. That was my Friday morning rant. And yeah, good Lord, he plays that fake empathetic role pretty well, doesn't he? Well, I don't know. It's actually blatantly obvious. Maybe it used to seem believable. I don't know. Come to think of it, I don't think it ever did. Okay, so catching up to this weekend, Cameron Peterson gave another $2 Canadian talking about the downfall of the NBA and whether or not the NBA messed up by putting everything, going all in on LeBron. He says, white dude from Canada, Jokic made me an NBA fan in 2023. I mean, that's the best form of the sentence I could make out of that. I think he's saying he's a white dude from Canada and that Jokic made him a fan in 2023. You know, you need all kinds of people to attract all kinds of different fans, but I'd put a asterisk next to that. You don't need crybaby, entitled divas, because I don't want those types of people watching the sport, and I don't want those types of people thinking that it's okay to act that way. Anyway, I think he probably said that when we were discussing when Magic and Bird helped pull the NBA from the brink of destruction. And yes, they were white and black, but they were also very different, and both had a lot of positive qualities, despite the fact that their qualities were very different from each other. Animaniac with $1.99. Thank you. The business savvy ballers that have 6 baby mamas. Nice. Man, that should have been read during the show. That would be in response to FYF trying to compliment today's idiot millionaires. And a shout out to Rex. I saw that Rex responded by saying, yeah, it's a lot easier to lose 5 million than 40 million. And it's not just 40 million. It's like 40 million a year now. They're not business savvy. You think any of these guys even handle their own money? Some of them are still going broke. It seems actually financially impossible to lose that much money, but they do it. Anyway, here we are again. My immediate response to that, I actually was inaccurate in my response, but I took it as another example of people saying, hey, as long as you're rich, how you act doesn't matter. Look at these business savvy guys of today. You guys might be calling them divas and entitled, but look how business savvy they are. Are they? I mean, they're given these contracts before they've done anything. So you can't really compliment them on savviness. They were given this money based on potential, not results. Now, if they reinvest that money in some sort of slightly intelligent way, good for them. Good for them. That doesn't take savvy, really. You got that much money, just diversify it in just about everything, and something's going to work out. Most of these guys, though, do stupid shit like never wear the same clothes twice, have 18 cars and 17 houses. Actually, 17 houses, if they play their cards right, should make them even richer. Cash provides $20 USD. Thank you. He says, back in the 90s, us Gen Xers didn't care about race and were probably the closest generation to squashing racism. But unfortunately, just like the NBA, it has really gone backwards. LeBron has had zero leadership. Quite a bold statement. I think it's a good one. I think it's a thought-provoking one. And I'm very sad that comments like this didn't get read because we were so busy listening to the stupidity of FYF before I finally had to bow out because I was getting ill. But let's think about what Cass said. To think that we were getting close to squashing racism at a time long ago. I'm tempted to agree, but I also could have just been oblivious. I could have been ignorant. It could have been that I wasn't thinking about it. On the other hand, we're being forced to think about it. It's being thrown in our face all the time now. And, you know, we have one guy who is basically campaigning the country based on divide and hate and blame. And that's undeniable. You know, I don't, neither political party is an inspiring one, but I'll just stop. I agree. Things seem to have gone backwards. Things seem to have gone backwards. As Uncut says, that right there is the end of the video. My gosh, that's a long one. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super thanks. Thank you for the memberships.